Welcome back, and we're still with you. And of course, today we're very much delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest, Dr. Mohamed Ezaby, the international relations expert. A very good afternoon to you, Doctor.
Good afternoon to you, Ezaby.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for your time. Now, let's begin, of course, regarding the recent developments and negotiations between Syria and Israel. What strategic interest does each side have now to re-engage in such negotiations, in your opinion, sir?
Well, Syria has once again become one of the most sensitive strategic arenas in the Middle East. The fall of Bashar al-Assad government didn't end the Syrian conflict. Instead, it transformed the nature of the competition. Syria is now emerging as a contested space where several regional actors are attempting to shape the country's security architecture. Military construction, political orientation, and territorial balance. The most dangerous dimension of this new phase is the growing confrontation between Israel and Turkey over the future of Syria. As Israel increasingly views the expansion of Turkish military and strategic influence inside Syria as a political threat to its security environment, while Turkey regards Israel's military operations against Syria territory as a direct challenge to Syrian sovereignty. And Ankara's role in rebuilding the stabilization of the country. This competition reached a particularly dangerous point on August 18, 2026, when Israel struck the Abu Duhur airbase in northwestern Syria. The attack damaged runway and military infrastructure, but caused no reported casualties. Washington subsequently acknowledged that it was attempting to establish a formal deconfliction mechanism between Turkey, Israel, and Syria in order to prevent miscalculation and accidental confrontation.
Indeed.
The significance of the incident goes well beyond the airstrike itself. It demonstrates that Syria is increasingly becoming a triangular strategic arena involving Damascus, Ankara, and Tel Aviv, with Washington attempting to prevent this competition from the developing into a direct military confrontation. For more than a decade, Syria was primarily characterized by a fragmented civil war involving the Syrian government, opposition groups, Kurdish forces, jihadist organizations, Iran, Russia, Turkey, the United States, and Israel. The current environment is fundamentally different. The principal question is no longer simply who controls which territory. It is increasingly who will determine the strategic architecture of the post-Assad Syria. That question involves several interconnected issues. Anyway, any negotiations between Syria and Israel must contain Turkey. If it doesn't contain Turkey, it will fail. In no way, because the reconfrontation is between Israel and Turkey on the land of Syria.
Doctor, do you think an agreement now, or some sort of agreement between Israel and Syria, could it change the way that Israel is dealing with security calculations, specifically on the northern border, and if so, how?
The Israeli military campaign in Syria has multiple objectives. The first is to prevent the re-establishment of military capabilities that Israel considers threatening. For years, Israel conducted strikes against Iranian military infrastructures, weapons transfer, and Hezbollah-related network inside Syria. After Assad's fall, however, the strategic equation changes. Israel now faces a new Syrian government whose future military orientation remains uncertain. Israeli policymakers appear concerned that the reconstructed Syrian military, particularly if supported by Turkey, could eventually develop into a conventional military force capable of challenging Israel. Consequently, Israel has sought to prevent Syria from rapidly rebuilding certain military capabilities. So the negotiation will shed more light on how to build the Syrian army and what is the real relation between Syria and Turkey, and what is the support from Ankara to Damascus. If they didn't succeed to solve this main point, no way to find a real agreement between Syria and Israel. Especially Israel didn't want any existence of the Turkish military troops on the land of Syria. And also Erdogan and Ankara refused to leave Syria, because all the people know that the struggle between the Ankara government and the Kurdish groups. So the existence of Turkey troops on Syria tried to prevent Kurdish to have their own country. It is a main reason for the existence of Turkish troops in Syria. So, as I said in the first question, that without existence the Turkish representative in these negotiations, no way to find any agreement between Syria and Israel.
Indeed, right. Doctor, now let's talk a bit about the role of mediators or go-betweens, so to speak. Of course, the U.S. involvement has been clear, especially with regards to reaching some sort of mediation effort between Syria and Israel. How do you see the role played by the United States in this regard? Do you see the U.S. involvement speeding things along or creating maybe more additional political complications, so to speak?
Well, we saw always that His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi announced many times that Egypt supported to all the governments to save the unity of the Arab lands.
Yes.
That's why we saw the support from Egypt to Lebanon, the support from Egypt to Sudan, to Libya, and the rule of mediations between Dibeba and Khalifa Haftar in Libya, the rule of mediation from Egypt in Lebanon, and how Egypt supports Lebanon. As always, Egypt to try to play a role in mediations to save the unity of the land of Syria. But this time, by make some meetings and some phone calls from Dr. Badr Abdel Ati and His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to the world leaders and the world foreign ministers, try to build a great network to support the unity of the land of Syria, try to make something like a push to these negotiations by convincing the United States to support Syria and force Benjamin Netanyahu to stop any strikes towards Syria. That's the main role from Egypt towards Syria. Also, despite of the continuing military tensions, an important diplomatic channel has emerged. Syrian and Israel officials have high-level discussions aimed at reducing tension following the Abu Duhur strike. According to the recent reporting, Syrian Foreign Minister Asad al-Shibani and senior Israel official participant in discussion in Jordan designed to prevent further escalation. This is strategically significant because it demonstrates that military confrontation has not completely displaced diplomacy. Damascus has incidented that remains interested in security arrangements with Israel. The Syrian position appears to be based on a simple calculation. So Syria needs time to rebuild. A prolonged confrontation with Israel would undermine reconstructions, weaken the new government's legitimacy, and make the country increasingly dependent on external powers. Israel, meanwhile, has an equally powerful incentive to avoid an uncontrolled Syrian conflict. Israel doesn't necessarily want another large-scale war on its northern frontier. The problem is that both sides want security, but they define security differently.
Absolutely. Now, the United States has just recently removed Syria from the list of state sponsors of terrorism. Do you see, Syria's international integration, as you mentioned, its reconstruction, whether politically or economically as well, creating additional incentives, for example, for Damascus to pursue further negotiations, try reach some sort of peaceful settlement?
Well, Washington occupies a unique position because it maintains a strategic relationship with all the major actors involved, although those relations are not equally close. The United States has strong security ties with Israel. It also maintains important relations with Turkey as a NATO ally. At the same time, Washington is attempting to engage the new Syrian government and facilitate Syrian stabilization. This gives the United States a potentially decisive diplomatic role. The emerging American strategy appears to have three components. First, prevent direct Turkish-Israel confrontation. The proposed deconfliction mechanism is designed to ensure that military movements and operations don't produce accidental clashes. Second, encourage an Israeli-Syrian security understanding. Washington has been attempting to support negotiations that could establish rules governing Israel military activity and Syrian military deployment. Third, prevent Syria from becoming another major regional battlefield. The United States has a strategic interest in stabilizing Syria rather than allowing it to become an arena for competition among Israel, Turkey, Iran, and other actors. The problem is that the parties are not simply suffering from communications failure. They have completing strategic objectives. A communication channel can prevent an Israeli aircraft from accidentally colliding with a Turkish aircraft. It can't be itself resolving fundamental questions. How much Turkish military power should exist inside Syria? Nor can it resolve how much military capabilities should Syria be allowed to repel. How much freedom of military action should Israel retain inside Syria airspace? Therefore, deconfliction is necessary but insufficient. The parties ultimately requires political security framework.
Indeed. Dr. Mohamed, in your opinion, sir, what is the biggest obstacle now to turning these negotiations into a lasting peace agreement which will be realistically valid and we see on the ground eventually?
Well, two main points. The existence of Turkish military troops in Syria and the support, the Ankara support for Syrian military. The other point is the area of Jabal al-Sheikh. Israel considers it as an Israeli land. Lebanon considers Jabal al-Sheikh as a Lebanon land. Syria considers it as a Syrian land. There are two main points will stop negotiations. Also, the relation between the groups in Syria related to Iran, and how can Syria prevent any kind of support this group to Hezbollah. If Syria succeeds to solve these main 3 points, I think the negotiation will succeed, but I don't think so.
We will leave it at that. I would like to thank you very, very much, our guest, Dr. Mohamed Ezaby, international relations expert. Many thanks, sir, for your time and your insight and for joining us today on Inside the Middle East. And with that, we come to the end of today's edition of our show. My name is Angie Meher. Thank you for watching.